here. Today we're going to be looking at the poster boy Excalibur. Now his chromatic blade augment has come out, and it's made Excalibur potentially one of the highest damage dealing frames in the game. Obviously Mesa, more range and better action and stuff like that, but he is definitely up there. I'm going to start with the looks because I'm very happy with how my aesthetics turned out on him. Right now it kind of has like a angelic kind of blue shiny. I've kept it the same Obsidian Azura for my next one, but I kind of want like a darker kind of Azura cracked stalker build. For the weapon, as you can see, I'm using Nikana Prime. We're going to get into the Excalibur build first though. And everything in here is very self-explanatory. Steel charge, obviously you're going to be using a melee. 60% melee damage helps on top of that. The power strength mods are pretty much just for the status chance on chromatic blade. You need 180% power strength to have 100% status chance with chromatic blade on. And with chromatic blade I have white energy color, which means I'm using cold damage. And I'll explain what that means later on. And then the rest of these mods are pretty much just to help me survive and to have a little bit of just general usefulness for the entire ability. Now my Nikana Prime that I'm using right now, this is the build on it. It's a pretty basic build. These can be swapped out for anything you want. They can actually be swapped out for the lower mods as well, the dual stat mods, to have a more heavy focus on slash, if you want more slash procs. This procs everything, so I mean this as it is very useful. Berserker Condition Overload, obviously shouldn't be proccing all the time with 100% status. Fury and Pressure Point, obvious, and Life Strike just for a little added survivability, because that's my only problem with Excalibur in his current state, is he's pretty squishy. But I mean, as far as damage goes, these are going to be 5 level 145 heavy gunners, and like, realistically, you'll never run into the situation. Once Berserker kicks in, you're... Yeah. That was like a blender. I just dropped 5 level 145 heavy gunners into an exalted blender. One more thing I want to show is the finisher damage on this thing. It can get pretty ridiculous. Don't know if it's going to go right now. I couldn't really see that. I'll run that again, see if we can get a better angle for the number. It gets pretty ridiculous. I've seen some really high numbers. It also helps with status on them first. Okay. Line and... yeah, so 366,833, I think that was. And that's finisher, so that bypasses armor. So, yeah, this is pretty much just a destroyer of worlds now. Excalibur was in a pretty good place before this augment came out, but now it's just... this is scary. I'm probably gonna die doing this, but... oh, stupid me. Uh-oh. Okay. I just gotta pick up my speed a little bit. Once Berserker kicks in, you can pretty much shred through anything. Like I said, though, the only problem I have with Excalibur is his survivability, but I mean, with a little bit of Life Strike and using his stun properly, his radial blind, I mean, you're gonna stay alive long enough to kill pretty much anything. I mean, this is 20 level 145 heavy gunners. In reality, you will never face that. And I'm putting them in the blender near instantly seeing them. So I mean, for anything you're gonna run into, this is no problem. I just ran through a sword. It was a mobile defense. There was increased energy, or sorry, increased armor, enemy armor, I believe it was, and again, everything just melted. So that is our poster boy now. Destroyer of Worlds. Man, I love the way he looks. It is worth noting that I am running 2 Arcanes on him. I am running Arcane Energize just for added duration, but pretty much on his 4, so it just gives me a little bit more energy. And then Arcane Fury, just for a little bit extra damage. But again, that's not going to make too big of a difference for you guys. You can definitely run this build without the Arcanes, and it works just as well. So a little bit more about how Chromatic Blade particularly works with Excalibur. What it does is it takes your fashion frame and turns it into a weapon. Turns end game and makes it the end of your enemies. Using Chromatic Blade turns your energy color into the element that is going to add on to the end of your elemental combo on your weapon. And what I mean by that is I have a white energy color, which brings me to cold damage. As you can see right here with my energy, it's cold. Whites and blacks are going to be cold. Reds, orange, yellow, stuff like that is going to be heat. Blues, purples are going to be electricity, and then greens are going to be toxin. So use that to help you mod. And then with the Nakana, I'm running a corrosive heat build. So heat might be above corrosive in the list, but heat is the last thing. It's the first thing that cold can latch onto, because it can't latch onto corrosive because that's a full bracketed combined status. So it'll latch onto the heat and become blast, giving this a corrosive blast build. So I'll be proccing corrosive blast and slash, one of them, at least one of them, because I have a 100% status chance with the over 180% strength. Now, I would definitely recommend the corrosive blast setup, because you're going to be getting into some issues with survivability, like I said. If you're coming up against, high-level sortie or sortie 3s if you're in a survival or something, you might run into a problem with bombards. If they hit you, you're going to melt really quick. And then putting them on their butts like that just helps you destroy them that much quicker. I really think that putting more enemies against you is better. So if you can find a group of enemies, especially with the blast, it procs more than one. So you can really start to build up that condition overload. Because condition overload adds strength to your attacks, every status that's effective. The slash, corrosive, blast. So I mean, 5 went down pretty much as fast as 1. I mean, it might have doubled the time, but definitely did not take 5 times the amount of time. So blast corrosive is definitely a very viable build. If you want to try and mess around with viral or radiation or something, for radiation for more for CC, viral and slash sounds like a really good setup for me, because if you're going to be doing the finisher damage, that bypasses armor, so you won't really need corrosive. It's completely up to you about how you build, but just that is how Chromatic Blade affects you. Your energy color, which is the color in the cracks of my armor there, is what gives you the added element that adds on to the last element in your modding tree, and that's not the last one that shows up here on your weapon. It's not the last one that shows up in the list. Corrosive actually goes a little higher than heat in the end, so it'll latch on to heat. That's pretty much the only thing you have to remember, is if you have an open slot, so like if you have viral in there, it'll latch onto the viral, and with cold, or if you have toxin in there, it would latch onto that and become viral or whatever else you had in there, gas, stuff like that. So just plan your fashion frame around what you want to do with your build, because fashion frame is now your greatest weapon. So there we go, guys, just a quick video on Excalibur and how he works now in his final form build for what I'm using. I'm not going to be changing this build at all. It is a beautiful, beautiful build for me, and it works very well. It took me a little while to get to this build. I tried a couple of different variations, radiation and stuff like that, but this is, I'm really happy with this. The blast makes high-level content just that much easier, and the corrosive stripping armor, it really helps if I do run out of energy, then I have less armor on the enemies I can use my weapons on, or if I come up to them and do finishers, the armor stripping doesn't matter anyway. So that's an argument for not having corrosive, is if you want to run viral or even radiation, and then just kind of use your radial blind in conjunction, then you can finish everything off. But yeah, so that's a really quick build and a really quick look at what I use with my Excalibur, with my Nikana, and with the chromatic blade. If you liked the video, press like. If you didn't, then don't. And any feedback in the comment section is very, very welcome. And if you enjoyed this and you would like to see more content like this, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.